106.5 Bandtango Radio, New Alternative First. I am Zane Malone. Does your assemblée en your grand jeté look like a goose who has laid a bad egg? Worry not, my dear friends, for today I present with no delay Cristina Munro, who will help you improve your ballet. Christina, my love, welcome to the Bandtango Studios.
That was a great intro.
I had to study my French and everything.
Right, you pronounced it right too.
Thank you. Cristina Munro from Munro Ballet Studios, munroballetstudios.com. Oh, I know people are going to be laughing because they think Zane doesn't love ballet and dance and all of these things, and there's nothing that is farther from the truth. I'm so excited to have you here because I have all these questions I want to ask you. First, can you please tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Oh, wow. Well, as you can guess, I didn't come from Texas. I'm originally from England, and about 50 years ago came over here. And I danced in a company in England, in London, and then I came over to New York to dance, and then I went to various other places, and finally landed in Houston, and slid down to Corpus Christi.
Slid down, and so did you come here to dance, or did you come here to teach?
I came here, well, when I came to Corpus Christi, came here to take over a studio that was already functioning here, and the directors wanted to retire.
Oh.
So they twisted my arm and said it's a wonderful place to live and bring up a family, and they were right.
That is amazing. So your primary dance before, of course, you took over the school, and we're going to talk about all the different styles of dance that you teach at the school, but your primary dance was ballet.
Yes.
So now, let me ask some questions, okay, if I can. Correct me if I'm wrong, because you're the expert now. Basically, dance is storytelling with movement.
Yes, and you can have no story, and music and movement.
And just the music and movement.
Right.
Because I look on the Googles, right? You know, Google's is so vague. Google defines ballet as a style of dance that is characterized by light, graceful, fluid movements and the use of pointe shoes. Pointe?
Pointe shoes, yes.
There's no E?
There's an E because it's French, or if you're saying it in English, it's point without an E.
Fair enough. So now what would you add to that? What is ballet to you? Like when you think about ballet and you close your eyes and you dance, what do you experience when you dance?
Oh, wow. It's expressing the music, and as far as the performing side, it's making either a story or an abstract come to life on stage with colorful costumes, backdrops, scenery. Often a story, very often a story with all the big classics like Swan Lake and Sleeping Beauty, etc., etc.
What are some of the bigger things that you've danced? Like some things, I mean, obviously there's some of the famous things that people who know a little bit about would dance, but what are some of the dances that you've done that are very special to you?
Ooh, wow. I've done just about all the major classics and some of the new modern neoclassical styles. I danced in London with a major company there, and we had choreographers from all over the world coming, doing different styles, and also in New York. So ballet isn't as strict as the Google terms. It's very, all the ballet into neoclassical, into contemporary, into modern, into jazz, into hip-hop, it all sort of merges and takes a bit of the other styles, and there's no definite barriers.
So it's basically you have some foundations.
Right.
And then that's where your creativity comes in, and you can move how you move. And obviously I'm going to ask you about that with your students and their own voice and how you nurture their individual voice.
Right.
After you teach the basic foundations. Oh, this is good. This is good stuff. Christina, you're awesome.
Well, we often do that in class. We teach them the technique, and then every so often we put a piece of music on, and we divide them into groups, or they can do it by themselves, and they interpret what they feel and do something that the teacher hasn't said. So they feel that they can create too.
That is, because, well, I play music, and I do a lot of music besides being a goofball on the radio. I love music, and music is the same way, where you have those basic foundations, but now it's like, okay, here's your foundation, now go.
Right.
You can be a player that just, and I'm sure that's the same thing with dance. Like you can learn all of these special dances and then try to mimic what the maestros and masters have done, or you can go off on your own and then see where that takes you.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Yeah. What instrument do you play?
I play all the guitars and bass and drums and things like that. Like nice. And I'm not good at any one of them, but like you said, I have the foundation in those, and then you can just say, where does this take you? So when somebody goes to your dance studio, that is an outlet for them. So it's not just obviously the exercise. Like people see ballet, and this is the thing I think that's very deceptive, and I'm sure hopefully you're going to jump on board with me on this. People see a flowing movement and they jump through the air. Let me hit the microphone. They jump through the air and they look like a beautiful animal in flight.
Right.
But they don't understand. The viewer, unless they understand, thinks that is such a graceful, simple move. But there is so much athleticism and strength and muscle memory and hundreds of muscles working together to make that look flawless and fluid.
Right, and the difference between some sports is that we have to make it look effortless. For the sports, it doesn't matter if you screw up your face and you know, you see the effort. We try to disguise the effort, but make it look ethereal.
Oh, see, that's a perfect description, because it's true. In football, it's almost, that's part of the energy, is to be like, like, could you imagine if football players had to run with that level of aggression, but run, you know, and look like a gazelle hopping through a field of poppies in the Orient, you know, or something like that, or basketball or any one. And so I think a lot of people don't understand that this is a lot of work and a lot of that muscle memory to get to that point of fluidity.
Right. And we also encourage people to not just do ballet, do jazz, do tap, do hip hop, something that shows a different style, that you're not always pretty.
That would be me.
But actually there's a lot of ballet that's dramatic and angular, and you know, some of the parts are very, very aggressive, and you try not to look too pretty.
Oh, that's exceptional. So now let's transfer into, because we've already talked about some of the styles. Let's describe the styles. So obviously we have an idea in our head. You know, I'm like Zane Baryshnikov for everybody.
Right.
You know, here I don't think I would look good in the tights though. I'm saying at this point, if I went to the studio at Munro Ballet Studio, I think I would look kind of like marshmallows on a turkey leg, stuffed in one of those vacuum seal packs. There's certain people that maybe should wear sweats at your studio.
You can come in sweats.
Thank you.
We have an adult class, and we have all ages, all sizes, all forms of clothing, as long as you can move in it.
I got that old school Billie Eilish look where I just wear the frumpy clothes, but it's, you know, it's good as long as you're in there doing it.
And you enjoy it, and you meet with other people, and the music and the effort of doing something creative as well as athletic to get your body moving.
Absolutely. So let's go. I got a list of the styles that were listed on your website. That, of course, everyone could go to immediately at MunroBalletStudios.com, because you are in registration right now.
Yes, in fact, we've been registering for the last 2 weeks, and today is the first day of classes. So this is an exciting day.
This is cool. So let's go through some of the styles. So we understand a concept of ballet. So what is jazz compared to ballet?
Well, jazz music is more energy, upbeat. The movements are less fluid in some ways, but some of the movements are very similar, the crossover movements.
And syncopated, because jazz has a lot of offbeats and a lot of fluidity in that way. Okay, very good. Now, of course, tap. I think tap, a lot of us know. And of course, if you're into music, I would always recommend people take tap, because it helps you learn that rhythmic understanding, which has transference into music.
Absolutely, and control and timing. Tap is very good for coordination and control. A lot of people find tap very hard, and some kids come and it's just very easy. Yeah.
I would sound like a bad nail gun.
You'd be fine.
Yeah. Now then, I don't know what this is. What is lyrical dance?
Lyrical is sort of a cross between ballet and contemporary jazz. There's a whole range of movement that isn't exactly ballet, isn't exactly jazz. It's a creative combination of all that, all the styles that you can do. It's more to smoother, softer music, and the jazz is more upbeat music. There's a lot of similarities, but it's more expressive too.
Very, very good. So now, Pointe?
Pointe is just ballet and pointe shoes. You know, those hard toe, uncomfortable shoes that everybody wants to wear, and then you get a pair and you think, why did I want to do this?
Yeah, this is awful. This is a torment, but it looks so good.
Right. Once you get over that initial alienated feeling, you have to build up your feet and the little muscles, and you get stronger, but also you have to build up a little bit of callus so that your toes don't get uncomfortably skinned or, you know, and everything like pointe shoes, we have them do very little at first, and you build up slowly so you don't get to that point.
See, that's where a good teacher, to hear that you take people in at their pace in phases, I think is really important for people that are kind of on the fence about whether or not to go into dance.
It depends a lot on the teacher. I had a hunchback woman who was German, who spoke with a heavy accent, and the music room this was in a boarding school in England, had a bookshelf that moved back, and it was, you press the lever, whichever you say, and it was a priest's holes where the people escaped to the gardens when there was
a trap door.
So
if the teacher got too crazy.
It was a scary room with a Miss Unger. I hope she's not listening.
Oh my goodness. So now then, hip-hop goes with the hip-hop music. It's a different style. You can see it on TV a lot. Its energy, its movements are more faster and more angular and goes with the beat of the music. Almost kind of animal in some ways, where you see, am I totally on a different style of music here?
Some of it can be, others can be sort of liquid. It looks like you have no bones in your body.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So more no bony.
Right.
It's definitely no bony, which I kind of look like, but more in like a deboned ham kind of look.
Right.
So if there was a hip hop dance troupe that needed a fat guy to roll like across the floor, and then they danced around me, I'm down.
It would be Oscar winning.
I'm going to Munro Ballet School. That's
okay,
where
we expect you there. We have a class at 8 o'clock tonight, 8:15.
Now I'm
PM. You can be in your little whitey tighties.
My little tights, the tights that I swore I would. I literally, you know, like those German sausage machines that like stuffs. I would be like in the one that got clogged. That's what I would.
Well, except sweatpants.
Sweatpants again. I just want to keep pushing the sweatpants. Now what? I'm going to try to say it. Pas de deux?
Pas de deux just means dance. Deux is two in French. So usually it's a man and a woman. They can do more in partnership than they can do on their own. Obviously, the man has to do a lot of heavy lifting.
Right.
And, they can spin more. They can do all sorts of aerial movements. That's a lot of fun.
That's basically the couples part of it.
It's often the prince and the princess, or it's different characters, but it's always two people.
So, like, I could be the ham-shaped dragon that is attacking the castle. And then
exactly.
Then
you could lift me and throw me into the pond.
That's what, Christina, into the pond with the leeches and the alligators. The end.
Works in Swan Lake, except there are no alligators.
Well, you know, you got to have a lake. We are in Texas, and there's a lot more stuff in our lakes than swans.
Right.
So that leads me to another thing. Now, you talked about letting your students go. You have the dance company.
Right. The Corpus Christi Ballet is a non-profit organization and does all the performing side. Most of the dancers at the studio audition for places in the productions. For instance, the first production will be the famous Nutcracker in December. And then in the spring, we do the full-length Cinderella. We also go out of town to do a performance in Midland. We dance at some other places. We go out of town to Beeville and dance at their theatre there. So they get a lot of performing, as well as in the studio. each class does a recital. So no matter whether you're 3 or you're 103, you can get on stage.
That is amazing. Okay, so now you're in charge of that company, right? Do you choose the dancers? They have to audition for you,
Right,
or
they
is there a whole
audition.
team of people?
Well, it's run by a board of directors, but Alexandra, Emery, and I are the artistic directors, and we choose the dancers and teach them the steps and decide the repertoire and shout until it's right. And
Do you have like a little stick, like a riding crop, and you will now be the dancer, you crack the nuts?
no, dance teachers usually, like the old days, they used to bang the stick and hit their legs, and now, we can't do that anymore.
God, there's no fun in ballet anymore.
Right.
God, you can't beat a student like that. Okay, maybe you have learned some tricks over time that you still get the same result without having to abuse the students.
Right.
Okay, good.
And the carrot. instead of
Dangle the
stick.
carrot. Yes. Now
But,
then,
when they train and get better and better and technically proficient, they know that they can use that to get really nice parts on stage that is such fun to do. And the performances are sort of the payoff for all the hard work.
that is wonderful to know. It's very similar in like when you go to music school and stuff like that. It's like,
Right.
It's the thrill of the performance. I mean, and of course you don't have to dance for performance or to become a performer. You can do it for your own exercise, your own mental health and stuff like that.
Right.
But there is something to being in a recital that you've worked on something with a group of people and you all have your parts and then
Right.
you work together as a team and then there it is.
It's like sports. You have to be part of the team and be an individual at the same time.
That is exciting. And I was going to ask you one final question that's just a nerd question for me, because you had talked about letting the students get in groups and create their own things. Do your students ever create like their own like whole dance, their whole, a longer piece?
Oh, yes. One of our more advanced students has created pieces that we've performed in this big dance festival out of town. And so that comes from doing a little bit of choreography, trying to find your voice with movement and music, and she's very good at it. The other thing I'd like to mention is we encourage men and boys to be part of the dance world. It's such a good physical thing to do, and every parent wants their child to be coordinated and have the ability to be confident in their body, and it's one of the things that really do that. But there's such a stigma for people letting their
for young men, whatever.
men to do ballet, right?
Once again, I'm going to go with you on this because now I'm Zane Malone. I'm a pretty guyly kind of guy. But I will tell you, in the earth, there are things that are pretty. There are things that are lovely. There are things that are seductive and flowing, and that's our entire universe. And it doesn't necessarily mean you're effeminate or this or that. It's just there are lovely things in this world. And if you can find that part of yourself where it's not insecure and challenged by bringing out some of that lovely, that also helps balance out that masculinity. And I'm just talking from a guy point of view.
Right.
I'm not afraid of playing sweet music that makes people cry, because that is a challenge to go inside of somebody and create a story for them that allows them to be vulnerable. And let me tell you, from a uber head guy point of view, women like guys that can communicate and are not insecure about their fluidity.
That's true.
So if you're a dude, I'm just saying, you can get in there, you can learn some stuff. She said you can wear sweats, you don't have to wear the tights.
Or young boys come in shorts.
That's it. That's absolutely okay too. Once again, going to read all the stuff. Munro Ballet Studios, munroballetstudios.com. The address, 5610 Everhart Road. Phone number, 361-991-6151. Or you can email at dance@munroballetstudios.com.
Perfect. And we start classes today.
Start right today. But if today is now being played a year from now, you can still contact the studio and it'll still be good.
Yes, it'll be wonderful.
Christina, it has been so much fun. I know people are like, shut up, Zane, what are you talking about? I love dance. I love creativity. And you have been absolutely delightful to talk to today. And thank you so much for engaging the Bandtango listeners. And please, if you are interested in finding this creativity, please reach out to Christina and go to MunroBalletStudios.com and go sign up and explore that part of yourself.
Great. Perfectly put.